Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, I've put this on, just made some spaces for under there. I welded them actually to this so that I didn't have to fiddle around putting spaces in all the time, so that's all good. Got clearance where we need it. We got masses of ground clearance. Actually this might make, depending on what the engine's going to work like, but you know, really it should be quite good. It's just a cooking little pushrod engine. Might have to do some minor tuning to it as we go along, who knows, but anyway, we'll see. So, well, I was going to say I've still got the cold, but actually this start is only a couple of hours since I did the finish of the last video. Still Monday. So, yes, I've still got the cold. So I think what we'll do next, as I mentioned, is we'll get the carb on. We'll make up that, get the car on. I've still got to order some exhaust pipe. I'm going to do it in stainless steel. And it's actually, the port is only 1 inch. So I'm going to get some 1.25 inch with 16th inch wall. And that just bent down a little bit. I didn't have to bang it or anything, I just pressed it. It's more in line for the cable pull. So we can make that to go over the top and into there. Pop that on so I knew where it would be. As I say, I hope you're all happy now that you saw I put the engine in at an angle. Everything is right. If you look at the other side, the words on the starter motor cover are perfectly horizontal. So, let's get some alloy plate and tube and things and get this carburetor mounted. Alright, so there's our first step. Piece of 1/4 inch for that. So the next thing we'll do is transfer the holes. Well, that goes in that one. Why won't that go through the other one? Huh. Let me try the next size down. Make sure that's in there. Alright, now we've got our 2 holes, so let's drill them and then we'll see about transferring that hole to there. I wonder if we should get really clever and put an O-ring in, but let's drill these first. Alright, still have this head steady thing to do, but get round to that. So there's the plate with a couple of holes. Let's see if they transferred alright. That seems to be it. Very good. Right, so the next thing is we're going to mark up our hole in the centre and see if we've got a hole saw or whatever the right size. Alright, so we're going to try this with a 24mm carburetor because that seems to be about right, but this is actually measuring 24.7. and this is measuring 27.5. Oh dear, my nose is running. Hold on a second. So I might do this with a 1-inch hole saw, or oh dear, I could do it smaller hole and then bore it out. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. I don't know if you can see it there, but the centre of this hole, where are we, is not on the centre line of those holes. That's the carb face. Where it goes onto the engine is the same. The centre of that hole, those two holes, is not the centre of that one. So we're going to have to mark that so we get the hole in the right place. And that hole is 28. Let me go and look at that. Right, so I traced where the hole is, found the centre. So I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch hole. Well, it suddenly struck me I don't want the hole of the choke size, and then I'll turn a piece from this, so it'll be 1.5 inch where it fits in there and welds, and then it'll be smaller for this to fit on. Okay? If that doesn't work, we'll throw it away and make another one. Stage 1. Right, next stage, piece of 1.5 inch round. We're going to drill the centre out, and then we will turn down the piece to fit the rubber, and then have a piece, we'll have 1.5 inch which will go in there and we'll weld it in. Now I'll bore that out to the size I want, and then we'll turn down the outside. Right, so it's drilled and bored to the size I want, and I've marked how far it goes into the rubber there, so we're going to turn this down to 1.375. Off. go. Set that to 0. 1.5. I want 1.375. So that's 125 to come off. That's 60 something. Let's take 50 off and then check the measurement. Alright, so what do I think that is? Well, while you were waiting around there, I had a visitor and I sold the old pickup. I put it at the side of the road with for sale sign on. So that's good, got rid of that. 1.397. 1.3. So that's 22 to come off. That's 11 more. 5, 10, 11. You don't normally see this much turning, do you? That. That out of the way. There we go. Now then, we'll part this off 1/4 inch from there. And we're all done. I'll have to move you to be able to get in for the parting tool. So there's the finished piece. Turn down for the rubber as you saw, and then that bit goes in there. And of course the 1.5 inch hole saw makes a much bigger hole than 1.5 inch. But I've actually made this slightly more than 1/4 so I can put it in, and I've got a little shoulder to weld it, because I might want this to be kinked a little. So what I'm going to do is just tack it, and then we'll try it on the engine. I'm going to sneeze again. No, I'm not. Alright. Yes, I am. Let me get the welder fired up. Alright, last job for the day. So I've tacked this top and bottom so I can tap it over a little bit if need be to cant it slightly. I don't know if that'll be necessary, but we can do it if it is. Of course, if I try that, it'll probably break the tack, and then I'll have to start again. Okay, that's that, and then that goes on there. That could do it going in and down a little bit. I don't know if I can manage that. In and down. Let me go tap it around and see if I can get that right. Right, I think I'm going to have to make another tube. I've got this kicked in, got it kicked down a lot. I had to sort of flatten the other side, but it's still at, I mean, these things work at quite a reasonable downdraft, I think. I'll have a word with Roger. It's in nicely, but I haven't got enough play to get that down to being level. It's 5:15 now, so that's enough for today. Alright, we'll look at that tomorrow. I'll see you then. Right, so I got that welded up. I managed to dip it a little bit more, so it's barely a couple of degrees, and I spoke to Roger and he said we could go to about 20 or 30 degrees with these and they were still fine. Which is the whole point of a concentric bowl. You know, the jet block itself with the main jet, the pilot jet's slightly behind it, but the jet block is in the centre of this bowl, so that no matter how this changes, you know, the level of the fuel will be level. So if you had the jet at the front and you tilted it this way, then effectively the level would be higher here and lower there. But it would always pass through the centre. So that's why you can move these all over, and the main jet and the needle jet are alright. So the pilot jet is slightly behind it, I think. But anyway, it'll be fine. Of course, I have all these Jubilee clips, and the two sizes. This one's way too long, and the box before of the smaller size was just, you know, another couple of these little slots, and I could have got it on. But anyway, we'll get to the right ones for the end. So now we need to make our air box. I've put a rear mud guard in. I don't think it's the one I'm going to use, it's a short one. But I got it jammed up so that I know what the space is here. I got some hose, that's the right size to go on there. 2-inch. I didn't have any 2-inch tube, but I did have a piece of this which I've just trimmed, and once I get that welded up, that's going to be the right size for that. Okay, so let me go and weld this tube up, and then we'll start to see how things should go. Alright, actually looking in the preview panel on the back of the camera, I think we're getting there's something wrong with the exposure on this. Of course that means I've got to send it off to Nikon, however you want to pronounce it. Alright, so there's the tube, it's welded up. So that sticks out a bit, so what I've got to do is make it go inwards. So what I'm going to do is cut through it at an angle, and then we can turn it round, make it come out and go in, and then we'll cut a piece. Actually, I cut that far too long. It wants to be right up here. So let's do that. Let's cut that at an angle, and then we can swivel it round. Well, that's more the way I want it, but it's still, I don't know. Can I get it in a bit further? Maybe make it curve from closer to here into there. Don't know, let me work on it. Okay, so I put a second pie cut in it, and a shorter piece of rubber. Right, so that's better. That's not sticking out too much. Okay. I might turn that so it points down a little bit. Okay, so now we need a box for in there. So what do we need? We need some cardboard. So I'm going to make a curved little box that goes in there. And the first thing I did was put that in there where it wants to go. So that is going to be the shape of the box. So from that I cut this, which is going to go on there, and then this piece is going to go on there like that. Then we'll put it back on, and then it's going to breathe through this under the saddle. So let me get this tacked up, and then we'll see what it looks like. So there's the tube, the front and the sort of body of it tacked together. Maybe put a mounting down to here or something like that. And as I say, it's going to breathe through the back, which will be nicely underneath the seat. I think it'll be fine. Alright, got some slightly awkward welding to do around there, but we can always weld it and grind it and weld it and get it looking pretty whether it is or not. Keeping clear of the mudguard, keeping clear of the frame. That's not bad. Maybe could have made it deeper, but you know, we're going through a 1-inch choke, which is what, a half by a half, which is a quarter by 3 point. That's going to be 1 point. It's going to be about 0.8, isn't it? Something like that, of a square inch. The choke there, and the other side of this is going to be about. I don't know what it is. Hang on. It's going to be 3 inches by 2 inches, so it can breathe through 6 square inches of foam. I think that'll be fine. Alright, that's another day done. We'll see you tomorrow. So there's the sort of the body of it made. It's going to go in there like thus. Like that. Let's say I think we'll make a bracket down onto there. So the next thing we've got to make is the piece to go. So there's going to be a cover on here, but there's got to be another piece inside that the foam goes against. So let's go and look at making that. Right, now these are our next few pieces. This bit is the tray that's going to go in there. And this bit is going to be the top. This is threaded, so that's going to get welded to that. That'll get pushed in down into there. That will get welded to the top of it. Then the foam rubber will go on there, and then that will be the top to clamp it all together. So the next thing I'm going to do is bolt that to that, so that I'm going to turn a little edge over on this one, and then when that's all bolted together, we're going to drill, I think I get the hole saw out, 4 1-inch holes. I think it's big enough for that, isn't it? Ah, I've lost my little measuring stick. There it is, still on the lathe. Yeah, that's 2 3/4 inches. So I put 4 1-inch holes
which is more than enough breathing for one 1-inch choke. And as I say, that'll hold together, and that just drill through, do all 4 of them, then we'll weld it up. So there's that set up to do that. I've got a couple of 1/8-inch parallels and just a couple of little shims to stop, because one of them is the tray part is slightly narrower. So let's see what we can do here. Good, that went through nicely. Right, let me do the other 3 and then we'll see about getting that tray welded in. So, there's those done. As I say, that will go on there. We'll weld that on there and then that will bolt into there. We don't need to worry about doing any calculations here because the choke is only 1 inch and I've got 4 1-inch ones there, so we must have 4 times the surface area. Right, so as I say, I've got to weld that on there, just turn a little edge over this so it goes over the box, and that'll be that finished. But that can wait till I've been and had my leftover chicken chasseur from last night, for those of you who like to know what I'm having for lunch. So I'll be back in an hour or so. Right, so we're almost there. That's in. That of course will get oiled. And that goes on there. I didn't cut this big enough to be able to fold a lip over. Pardon my hand getting in the way a bit. There we go. Right, so we're not finished yet. We've got to put the mounting on the bottom. So let me take the foam out. We'll go and put it on the bike and make up a piece for the mounting. All right. So there's a bracket on there, and here's a little welding tip for all my older viewers. If you're going to do any TIG alloy late in the day, leave it till tomorrow. You'll be less wobbly. To grind that out, it looks, yeah, it's not terrible, but I'm not happy with it. I am not happy with it. Mind my head, or excuse my head I should say. Did I get that? Oh, there we go. Another job that would be easier without the wheel. Oh no, I can't weld a nut on the back of that because it's the mudguard mount. That really annoyed me, that. I even blobbed the bloody tungsten. There we are, excuse my head again. Okay, that's clear of everything, and when that's got a clip on, that'll be fine. Hold on, I'll take you around the other side. So that's how it is round that side, and you see when the seat's on, it's going to be tucked right out. There's going to be something here. I think I'm going to mount the electrics here because of the way things are. Don't know. But anyway, that's nicely tucked out of the way. Good. It's enough for the day. And anyway, I've got to check the tyre pressures and the oil and everything in the greeps are ready for tomorrow. I got a feeling it's going to be muddy. Is this tomorrow? Yeah, it's tomorrow for me, but it's last Sunday for you. Alright, so I think the bits for the bends for the exhaust will arrive in the next day or two, so it's probably that we will do. Alright, it's Saturday, and the bits, the bends and stuff and the straight bits of this have arrived finally. It's actually the Saturday, you're going to see this tomorrow, so I'm completely caught up now. So while I was waiting, apart from spending a day and a bit having to work on the lawn tractor, where am I? I made a couple of pieces which you will see as we go along. So the first thing we need is a straight piece to go in there. Okay, so from the bottom to this mountain here, look, is 1 and we'll say 1 and 1/8, and we want this to stick out about about 1/4 of an inch. So that's 1 3/8 it needs to be. So let me cut a straight piece, 1 3/8. I'm going to do it in the lathe with the cut-off tool so that I make sure they're exactly square to each other to make the welding easier. So let me go and do that. Right, so these are the pieces I made already. There's the collar welded on, and I just put it on the sander to make sure it was flat. So that is going to go in there. Then there are 2 split collars. Which go on there like that. And then this piece goes round Come on, where's that other hole gone? That goes on there like that. And then the 2 nuts go on. God, I've got something in my eye again. Do you know, I always wear safety glasses when I'm doing anything, and I still get stuff in my eye. It's got to the point now where if I'm actually grinding, I always wear a full face shield. Right, so that will bolt up there tightly. So let me move you. Now, from a quick cursory glance, I think this one's going to be quite easy to do. Oh, here's the thing, look, this is how these came. I ordered 4 of them from the same place. Came home yesterday and there were 3 packages on the porch. I opened one, that was in it. I opened another one, that was in it. I opened the 3rd one, there were 2 in it. All bought from the same place. I think it was free shipping. So I don't know what they're playing at. Anyway, from a different place, because 1 1/4 inch wasn't that easy to find, actually. Most of the places I've used in the past start at 1.5 inches OD. So I got a 45-degree one, and I think see, I'm going to put the silencer down there. So I think that's about it. Now, unfortunately, look at that. They aren't going to. It's difficult to show you this. See, that's not. Oh, maybe. So actually, I want a straight piece. Inch and a half. So let me go and cut a straight piece, 1.5 inches, and I can just tack it onto that, because like with these other welds, they don't have to be positioned. It's when we get to this next one that we've got to start positioning things and marking them. So let me take this off. I'll put a 1.5 inch piece on there. Right, well, I've cut that too short. Tried to put that on there. It's going to be like that. But if I'd have made that a bit longer, I could get it down to there, I think. About 1.5 inch. And find a ruler. I've only tacked that on there so it'll come off. And actually, I was just thinking as I cut this, my God, why did I buy so much tube? I knew this was only going to be a little exhaust. Yeah, another 1/2 inch would have been good. Alright, let me take this off, put a 2 inch piece on. So, done that. Put a 2 inch piece on instead of a 1.5 inch piece. Oh, by the way, I made a clutch cable. Well, actually, I cut down. I have a bunch of cables for BSA and Triumph front brakes, and they have the nice knob on the end. I thought, hey, I can maybe just shorten one of them. So, yep, that looks fine. Right, pen. Hold on a second. Okay, let's see if I can keep hold of this. Okay, another little bit of tacking to do. As I say, this is the annoying part, taking this on and off all the time. And the last bit. It's on there flat. Miss everything. Come up a little bit more. Excuse my head. Right, and there we go, there's our couple of marks. So once again, we go and tack this and then we'll see how it looks, and then I'm going to have to set it up to do the back purge and everything. I might have enough time. Right, there it is. It's tightened up now. So it's well clear of the cable, well clear of that. This of course is going to get cut off about here. The silencer is going to be in there. I don't know. Is it a bit high? See, the problem is, if I lengthen that, it's going to start pushing out here, because if I lengthen it and then turn it down, then these are going to start not being square joints, and as I say, if I have to start cutting them at an angle, then they don't match up perfectly. But actually, you know, I could work on this later on when this is all welded up. You know, I could always put a pie cut in it at an angle, and no, I couldn't, because that would make that go up in the air, wouldn't it? Didn't think that one through, Michael. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. It's well clear of everything. You know, there's always the worry with the exhaust heating the carburetor up. I wonder if I could put that in the 1.5 inch dies in the pipe bender and just put a little bit of a curve in that to bring it down more. Okay, let me set to and weld these up anyway, and then as I say, we'll look at that when this is all firmly welded up. Alright, so there it is. Blow a hole in it down here, otherwise it was all just autogenous welds. I set the welder at about, this is 16th, it's set at 60 amps. And I've got the pulse on, 1 pulse a second, and it goes around really nicely, but for some reason there I wandered off the joint, put a little hole in it, but anyway, it's fine. So I also actually, I cut that back off and shortened this 1/2 inch to bring it down, and I've cut that to there, so the silencer will fit on there and fill this space down there. And as you can see, that's pulling it in here has got me well away from the carburetor, so that should be fine. Still clear of the cylinder. Alright, so that's all. I've got towels. I've got to cut these off, don't know why they're so long. Cut them off as well. So next week we will make the silencer, and hang on, let me open you out a little bit. Oh yeah, you can see it. And I started fiddling around the other day because I was waiting for these to make bigger footrests. So this is my sort of experimental one. Actually, it's back this way a bit. I guess that plate is, you know, it's maybe 3/16. This really is under engineered, this bike. That could do with being brought out. But of course it's bronzed all the way down. It's a bit down as well, it could do with being up. Anyway, we'll look at all that next week. I've made a sort of press to make this thing. I'll show you all that next week, and we'll make the silencer with baffles. Oh, and hold your seats. Mud guards came, so I have a proper long mud guard to go in there. I'm not going to use this saddle, it's too high. I'm going to make one that's just flat on there. But anyway, all that is in the future. So until then, you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.